A powerful thunderstorm, accompanied by squalls and a tornado, hit the Brazilian city of Porto Alegre. The elements overtook the city suddenly. The sky darkened in a matter of minutes, and then real chaos began. Gusts of wind over 100 kilometers per hour, a downpour that brought down tons of water, and most importantly, a tornado that rolled through the streets of the city, destroying everything in its path. The city is in ruins. Fallen trees, collapsed roofs of houses, broken shop windows, flooded streets, and massive power outages. The wind turned over cars, demolished bus stops, and even damaged the facades of high-rise buildings. Rescue services are working non-stop. The first data on victims is already coming in, but their exact number is being clarified. Doctors, firefighters, and police are doing everything possible to help people in trouble. Residents of Porto Alegre are advised to stay in safe places. Authorities warn that weather conditions remain unstable and further dangerous phenomena are possible. The popular Greek island of Paros has been hit by devastating flooding following a powerful storm and heavy rainfall. The storm has turned the streets of the island's main towns, Paraguay and Nausa, into raging torrential waters, washing away cars, rubbish bins, and other infrastructure. Local authorities have taken emergency measures. Schools and kindergartens have been closed, and all forms of transport except emergency vehicles have been banned. Residents and tourists are urged to stay indoors and take precautions. Rescue services are actively working at the scene. It is reported that 13 people who were stranded during the storm have been successfully transported to safety by firefighters. Fortunately, there are no casualties. Neighboring Mykonos has also been hit by the storm, although the scale of destruction there is less significant. However, Mykonos authorities have also closed schools and imposed restrictions on movement. Forecasters warn of continued adverse weather conditions in the region, including heavy rains and the possibility of further flooding. Residents and visitors to the islands are advised to closely monitor updates from local authorities and follow all regulations to ensure their own safety. Kanlaon volcano has awakened in the Philippines. Let's figure out what's going on. Kanlaon is one of the most active volcanoes in the country, located on the island of Negros, and this Monday it showed its character again. According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology, an eruption with ash emissions began at 15:24 local time. The column rose to a height of 1.5 kilometers. Dense gray clouds of ash are now moving west, covering the cities of La Carlota and Bago. Residents are urged to remain alert. Ashfall can worsen air quality and create breathing problems. The alert level has been raised to level 3 out of 5. This means that the eruption may intensify. Authorities are already evacuating thousands of people from the risk zone, a radius of 6 kilometers from the crater. Let me remind you that in December 2024, almost 87,000 people had to be relocated because of Kanlaon. Why is Kanlaon so active? The Philippines is located in the Pacific Ring of Fire, a zone where the Earth never sleeps. And Kanlaon, at an altitude of 2,435 meters, is clearly not going to rest. We are following the news and keeping our fingers crossed for the residents of Negros. A catastrophic flash flood has hit the city of Luka in Paraguay, turning usually calm streets into raging rivers. Powerful streams of water have flooded not only the lower floors of residential buildings, but have also literally washed away part of the road surface, creating a real disaster zone. Local residents were forced to leave their homes in an emergency. The situation was especially dramatic in the area of the Central Market, where dozens of retail outlets were completely flooded. According to eyewitnesses, the water level in some places reached 1.5 meters. Rescue operations continued around the clock. Helicopters and boats evacuated people from the roofs of houses and from second-floor windows. The authorities organized temporary shelters in local schools and sports complexes, where the victims are provided with hot meals and medical care. According to preliminary data, the damage from the flood is estimated at millions of dollars. Roads and bridges were destroyed, power lines were damaged, water supply and sewerage were disrupted. Farmland has been flooded, which will have a serious impact on the local economy. Local authorities are calling on residents not to leave their homes unless absolutely necessary, to take safety measures, and to provide assistance to those in need. Forecasters predict that rainfall will continue in the coming days, which could worsen the already dire situation. River levels are expected to rise further, which could lead to further flooding and an expansion of the disaster area. The Paraguayan government has declared a state of emergency and appealed for help from the international community. Additional rescue teams, humanitarian aid, and financial support are expected to arrive to eliminate the consequences of the natural disaster. Luka is battling floods. What will happen next? A devastating tornado has swept past Hattiesburg, Mississippi, leaving behind a scene of widespread destruction. The tornado, classified as EF3 on the Fujita scale, tore through residential areas, leaving behind destroyed homes, fallen trees, and downed power lines. Many residents were left homeless and without power. According to preliminary data, at least several areas of the city were completely destroyed. Authorities reported several deaths and dozens of injuries, but the exact number of victims is still being clarified. Rescue crews are working around the clock, clearing debris and providing assistance to those trapped. Forecasters note that this tornado was part of a series of powerful storm systems that hit the southeastern U.S. states in late March 2025. The threat of more tornadoes remains in the region, especially in neighboring states such as Alabama and Louisiana, where new atmospheric disturbances are expected. We're heading to the south of Russia, where nature has already turned on the drama mode. The thunderstorm season has begun, and we will show you stunning footage of night lightning straight from the Dagestani village of Kabir-Kazmalyar. Look at this! The south of Russia, and especially Dagestan, is a place where the sky turns into a real show in the spring. At the end of March 2025, the thunderstorm season officially started, and the residents of Kabir-Kazmalyar witnessed a powerful celestial spectacle. These lightning bolts are not just flashes, they are giant electrical discharges that heat the air to 30,000 degrees in a split second. Kabir-Kazmalyar is a small village in the Megaram-Kent district, surrounded by mountains and plains. At night, when everything is quiet, the sky comes to life. These shots are pure magic. Lightning strikes one after another, illuminating houses and fields, and the thunder sounds as if the mountains decided to talk. Locals say such a spectacle is common in the spring, but each time it is as mesmerizing as the first. Thunderstorms here are not only light and sound. Along with lightning, there are showers and gusty winds. On this night in Kabir-Kazmalyar, the streets were empty, but nature was not asleep. Rains flooded the ground, and the wind bent the trees. And all this to the accompaniment of peals of thunder, as if someone up there had turned up the amplifier to full. In the south of Russia, the thunderstorm season is a tradition. In Dagestan, with its mountains and warm climate, spring always brings such surprises. Last year, lightning even caused fires in the foothills, and this season, judging by the first days, we can expect even more action. Kabir-Kazmalyar is just one point on the map, but such thunderstorms rumble from the Caucasus to the Caspian coast. What a powerful greeting from nature. If you liked this celestial show, write in the comments whether you have seen anything like this. The city of Henderson, Arkansas, was at the epicenter of a devastating hailstorm that swept through the region, causing widespread damage and causing panic among locals. Tennis ball-sized hailstones fell from the sky, piercing rooftops, shattering car windows, and damaging farmland. Eyewitnesses reported chaotic scenes of streets covered in ice, motorists seeking shelter under bridges and in garages, and farmers anxiously inspecting their crops for fear of losing their harvests. Local officials responded quickly to the emergency, mobilizing emergency services to assess the damage and provide support to those affected. The hailstorm was part of a series of extreme weather events that hit Arkansas in March 2025. Earlier, on March 14 and 15, the state experienced several EF4 tornadoes that caused significant damage and claimed 3 lives. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders has declared a state of emergency and released $250,000 from the Disaster Response Fund to help affected areas. Forecasters are warning of possible further outbreaks of severe weather in the region and are urging residents to be vigilant, monitor forecasts, and take precautions. Experts attribute the increase in the frequency and intensity of such events to changing climate conditions, which highlights the need to prepare and adapt to new realities. During this difficult time, Henderson residents are demonstrating resilience and unity, uniting to rebuild their communities and support their neighbors. Local charities and volunteers are actively involved in the aftermath of the storm, providing essential assistance to those affected by the elements. Tonight, the Italian town of Martano, located in sunny Puglia, found itself in the epicenter of a real disaster. The evening storm, which brought with it heavy rain and severe thunderstorms, ended with an unusual and rare natural phenomenon: hail. In some areas of the city and its surroundings, ice pellets reached a diameter of as much as 3 centimeters, which caused damage to cars, roofs, and even vegetation. Martano, like many other cities in Apulia, unexpectedly found itself in the zone of active weather fronts that brought heavy precipitation and squally winds. Local residents shared their impressions on social networks, telling how the streets were literally white with hail, which fell in buckets. The thunderstorm lasted about an hour, but this was enough to create real chaos in the city. The Italian Meteorological Service has already issued a warning about possible new thunderstorms and rain, and weather conditions in the region are expected to worsen over the next 24 hours. Not only Martano, but also other cities in Apulia remain at risk. The regional authorities warn of the danger of possible floods, as well as possible damage to infrastructure due to heavy rains. In addition, experts note that natural disasters such as heavy hail have become more frequent and intense in recent years. This is due to climate change, which leads to sharp changes in temperature and pressure, as well as more powerful atmospheric fronts. For the resident, the city of Cali in Colombia experienced a real natural disaster when heavy rains caused massive floods that inundated streets and infrastructure. The episode was one of the most powerful this year, leaving devastating consequences for residents and the city as a whole. As a result of the heavy rainfall that hit Cali for several hours, the water quickly rose, flooding many areas, including the Chipichape sector. One of the most dramatic incidents was the rescue of 2 women trapped in their car, which was surrounded by water up to the roof. There could have been more victims if not for the quick response of local rescuers. Firefighters and emergency services quickly arrived at the scene, pulled the women out, and evacuated them to safety in the shortest possible time. Thank God, no one was hurt. But the troubles did not end there. Cali faced even greater problems when the San Cristobal River burst its banks, flooding not only residential areas, but also large sections of infrastructure. Roads were particularly affected, causing serious traffic congestion. The water rose so high that it blocked not only the main streets but also major highways, making it impossible to travel in many areas of the city. In addition, as a result of heavy rains, a tree fell on a transformer, leaving entire areas without power for several hours. Traffic lights also stopped working, which complicated the situation on the roads and led to additional traffic jams and chaos. Local authorities quickly declared a state of emergency, and emergency services continue to work to eliminate the consequences of the disaster. All city services are on high alert, as forecasters warn of possible repeated flooding and heavy rains in the coming days. Now city residents are urging each other to be especially careful and avoid traveling unless absolutely necessary. Authorities are insisting that everyone stays safe and that those who have suffered damage can seek help. In this situation, it is important to remember that such natural disasters can become part of everyday life, especially in a changing climate, and require increased attention to warnings and safety measures. Recently, Algeria experienced an amazing natural phenomenon. After heavy rainfall, an impressive waterfall was formed, where water mixed with mud, creating an unusual sight. This phenomenon attracted the attention of both locals and tourists, who were eager to capture the rare natural phenomenon. As a result of intense rainfall, rivers and streams in the mountainous regions of Algeria burst their banks, which led to the formation of mud flows. In some areas, these flows formed waterfalls, where the bubbling water mixed with the earth, creating muddy water cascades. Local residents were amazed by the scale and beauty of what was happening, and photos and videos from these places quickly spread on social networks. However, it is worth noting that such phenomena can be dangerous. Mud flows can destroy infrastructure, block roads, and threaten people's safety. In this regard, local authorities urge citizens to exercise caution, especially in areas with an increased risk of floods and landslides. Such natural phenomena remind us of the power of nature and the importance of respecting it. They also emphasize the need for emergency preparedness and the importance of promptly informing the population about possible risks.